Welcome to the BioPharma Business Intelligence Unit, where symbolic integrity meets strategic clarity. At BBIU, we go beyond the headlines to decode the structural forces behind global biopharma, AI, and economic realignment. If you value precision, verification, and symbolic depth, this channel is for you. Subscribe now to access our weekly briefings, dossiers, and intelligence reports, and consider joining our institutional tier to unlock early warning systems, custom metrics, and exclusive strategic insight. You're not just listening, you're entering the future of epistemic intelligence. www.biopharmabusinessintelligenceunit.com.
Argentina's 2025 midterm elections. A new balance of power in Congress. Executive summary. The 2025 Argentine legislative elections marked a decisive reshaping of the political landscape. Libertad Avanza, LA, consolidated its position as the country's leading force, surpassing 40% of the national vote. Its gains were particularly evident in Buenos Aires Province, where it edged Fuerza Patria by a narrow margin. The results produced a realignment in the Chamber of Deputies. LLA emerges as the dominant bloc, but still without an absolute majority, while traditional parties face fragmentation and regional erosion. Structured BBIU Opinion 1. Political layer. LLA's consolidation symbolizes a voter shift toward economic liberalization, anti-establishment rhetoric, and direct alignment with U.S. policy frameworks. However, its lack of absolute majority ensures a fragile governance scenario where every reform will demand negotiated alliances. 2. Economic layer. The results coincide with Argentina's critical fiscal dependence on IMF facilities. A fragmented Congress complicates structural reforms, especially in taxation, subsidies, and debt servicing. The opposition's residual strength implies persistent veto power against austerity or deregulation measures. 3. Symbolic layer. The 2025 midterms transcend numbers. They mark the institutionalization of LLA as a central actor of the Argentine system. Symbolically, Peronism loses its historic monopoly over Buenos Aires Province, a rupture with decades of electoral tradition. This erosion signals a broader collapse of legacy political identities in favor of fluid, populist blocs. Number 4. Systemic risks. The absence of a governing majority raises the risk of legislative paralysis. Markets may perceive the results as either stabilization due to LLA's ascendancy or heightened volatility due to the lack of governability. The interaction between congressional fragmentation and Argentina's economic fragility remains the key structural risk vector. Part 1 of 2. Annex 1, Provincial versus National Elections and the New Balance of Power in Congress, Argentina 2025. 1. Provincial Outcomes, a weak territorial footprint for LLA. The provincial elections of 2025 exposed the structural vulnerability of La Libertad Avanza, LLA. In most provinces, entrenched officialisms, Peronist in the north, radical JXC in the center-west, retained control of legislatures and governorships. LLA failed to secure governorships or significant influence in provincial legislatures, underscoring its lack of territorial machinery. The prevailing interpretation in October was that LLA's expansion had peaked. Without governors, mayors, or provincial bases, Milei's movement appeared structurally fragile and politically isolated. Resulting forecast. Analysts warned of limited governability for Milei, anticipating legislative blockades and chronic dependency on provincial power brokers. Number 2. National legislative elections, a surprising recovery. Contrary to the pessimistic provincial forecast, the national midterms reversed the narrative. LLA captured over 40% of the vote, outperforming Fuerza Patria by narrow margins in Buenos Aires and prevailing in key urban districts, Córdoba, Mendoza, Santa Fe. The victory established LLA as the largest single bloc in the Chamber of Deputies, effectively consolidating its role as Argentina's new axis of political competition. However, the structural gap remained. LLA's national vote share was not matched by local institutional penetration. 3. New congressional composition from December 2025. Chamber of Deputies, 257 total seats. La Libertad Avanza, LLA, 112 seats. Fuerza Patria Kirchnerist Coalition, 104 seats. Juntos por el Cambio, UCR Pro, 32 seats. Provincial, minor parties, 9 seats. Senate, opposition weakened after partial renewal. Kirchnerism lost ground, reducing its capacity to act as a unified counterweight. Implications. No bloc holds the 129 votes required for a simple majority in deputies. Provincial caucuses and independents hold decisive swing power. In the Senate, two-thirds thresholds required for impeachment are numerically unattainable for the opposition. 4. Risk of impeachment, symbolic, not structural. Kirchnerism can threaten, but cannot execute a removal of President Milei. Two-thirds are far beyond its reach in both chambers. The Senate's weakened opposition further reduces feasibility. The real risk is not formal destitution, but political erosion through legislative paralysis, mobilizations, and narrative pressure. You've reached the end of the open section of this BBIU content. The complete analysis, with full data, structural frameworks, and extended annexes, is available exclusively to our subscribers. At BBIU, we believe the real value lies beyond headlines, in the depth of structural intelligence that helps leaders and organizations see further. If you want access to the complete archive and future reports, join us at BBIU and take part in the next level of analysis.